because that's how God works in your life. The power of God comes in the peace of your prayer life. It comes in the peace of your understanding. It comes in the peace of your worship. It comes in the peace of the relationship that you have with God. It comes in there. That's where the power comes from. Hey y'all, it's your little big sis CJ Renee, and we're back with another episode of 31 and Thriving. Oh my gosh, guys. The revelation, the forward motion, the overall sensation of just being in this place of thriving is amazing. I have so much going on for you guys. Like, guys have no idea. I'm about to blow y'all minds. Just stick with me. Stick with me. Don't leave. Like, if you came here from day one, my day ones, don't leave. I promise you. It's going to be a movement. Y'all gonna want to be a part of this. All right. Let's just go ahead and jump into today's episode, and then we're going to talk a little bit more at the end. All right. So today's episode is about power. I, so far, have talked about purpose and peace. And I the way this set in for me was when I was praying to God about what direction I wanted to go in as far as my own personal life is concerned. And God revealed to me purpose, peace, power. And it didn't really hit me until I kept saying it over and over again. Purpose, peace, power. Those three words are very powerful. Those three words are electrifying, okay? It sends signals to the brain that the best is yet to come, okay? Because after you've discovered, the things that you've been through were to help you be aligned with your purpose, then you find peace. And in your peace, oh my God, in your peace, the power of God sits in your peace. I'm telling you, everything that you decided you wanted to do, everything that you decided you were going to be, everything that you decided that God placed on your life for you to accomplish, I promise you, it sits in that peace with you. It sits in that peace with you. Peace about why you went through the things you went through. Peace about why you're currently going through the things you're going through. Peace about the future things to come. Because a lot of us are worried about what's coming. A lot of us are worried about how we're going to get there. But being in the peace of the right now. Being in the peace of who you are. Being in the peace of a resolved, resolute situation. God knows what he's doing. God knows what he's doing, y'all. And I'm talking to y'all, but I'm preaching to myself. I'm telling you that right now. God knows what he's doing, and there's a peace in your situation. You got to find it. Sit in it, because that's where your power is going to come. Let's jump into today's episode. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, power. Let's talk it. We're breaking it down into acronyms, y'all. So acronyms that we can remember. Okay. Power. The P in power is prayer. Prayer. It's so funny that this is what it is right now. Like, this is my episode today, because recently I was really in a discouraged place. Like, I am low in how I feel about what I'm doing. Am I aligned with God? Am I doing what God has called me to do? Am I moving in the way that God intends for me to move? Or am I making rash decisions? Or am I moving on my own will? Like, am I in the will of God? Am I? Am I? I can make a whole series off that. Am I? You know what I mean? Because for real, that's how I felt. And I began to talk to my sister and my best friend, and I was telling them, like, look, y'all, I don't think that God can't do it for me. Trust and believe. I 100% believe in God, because there was times when I was deep in my sin, and God rescued me. God saved me. God delivered me. He made ways out of no way. I didn't know where this money was coming from. I didn't know how these things were going to get resolved. I didn't know how it was going to get there, how it was going to get done. But he made a way. He made a way. And so what they responded to me was, you need to pray. Your prayer life is going to change how you move forward, right? So here it says, prayer, staying connected to God and seeking his guidance. That is number one. And anything you do, like seriously, if you really want to be in the will of God, if you really want to have things go the way God intended for them to go, plans in your life, relationship goals, if you have children, your company, your business, your job, even if you have a problem that's going on, like an actual problem, like you're going to court, or you're facing, some type of insurance claim, or whatever the case may be, you need to pray. You need to pray, because one thing I have noticed is that God will guide your footsteps, even if you can't hear him directly. And no, I'm not saying like, my child, this is me. No, not like that. I mean, hear him directly, meaning like in your voice, in your head, you hear God, and you can't distinguish your voice from the voice of God and how he's pouring into you, then that's fine. But God will also direct your path. Like he will put the right people in front of you to tell you, hey, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. I think you should go here. I think you should go there. He will give you guidance. Okay, you gotta open yourself up to the blessings and the wonderfulness of God. I'm telling y'all, it will change your life. It will change your life. All right, let's go to the next one. O is for obedience, walking in faith and aligning with his will. Now, what did we just talk about? This is something I know for a fact. Okay, so there's a saying that goes around, right? Make plans and watch God laugh. Because at the end of the day, we are not our own God. We cannot make things happen on our own. We don't have the ability to jump up and get to it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, that's the way that the world has given us, and the mentality that they poured into us. But that does not work for Christians. It doesn't work for Christians, because you're going to go ahead and do it and you're going to get mad. Okay, you wonder why all these secular people out here having sex, doing drugs, drinking, and doing all kind of other things like yoga, all that other stuff to get their mind to be calm and relaxed. But all we got to do is pray, and we believe in Jesus, and everything works out for us. The difference between us is that we don't do things in our own will. They do. We do things in God's will. We align ourselves with God. So you have to be obedient to what God is telling you. When God is speaking to you, when God is directing your path, when he sends people to you to say this and that, and to tell you to go here and go there, listen. This is something I struggle with. So I know for a fact that it's a real thing. Because the moment I began to listen, the moment I began to tell myself, you know what, no, I know this is what I want to do, but is there a possibility that what they're telling me is what God wants me to do? Because sometimes we get advice and we don't like it. Sometimes we get advice and it doesn't go with what we already had in mind, you know what I mean? Or it goes against what we believe. That doesn't make it not true. Take heed to the advice that's being given to you, and be obedient to what God is putting in front of you, what God is saying to you, what God is pointing to your spirit, and stay in your word. My God, that will help you a lot to be obedient as well, because you'll see how in the Bible people have one chance. Oh, people had one chance in the Bible to be disobedient, and that was it. They were dead. God didn't give him a second chance to come back and try again. There was no God forgive me. That was it. Okay? Disobedient, you're dead. Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. So let's go ahead and jump into W. Worship. Living a life of gratitude and praise. Now, let me tell you how this real deal is real life, right? So in the beginning of my healing process, I promise you, and I lie to you not, all I did was worship. All I did was worship. My prayer life, my praise, out of this world. People thought I was literally probably losing my mind every Sunday I came to church. Because, I mean, praising God, screaming. Like, people have me in their churches, and I'm in every recording screaming. And it's not even on purpose. It's not like that's what I came here to do, but that's how I praise. God is going to hear my voice. I'm going to make a sound, okay, that's going to ripple through people. That's going to ripple through the atmosphere. Because I want God to hear me. God, you have to hear me. I need you to change something in my life. I need you to do it. Okay? My worship was serious. I played not about my worship. I played not. Okay? First of all, I had a whole worship playlist. I still have that whole worship playlist. And I still listen to it even to this day. I don't know why I'm speaking in past tense. But I still listen to my worship music. And that worship playlist was in my ears during the day. Now, I know that you're not supposed to be at work with your music playing in your ear. But if you gonna do it, you might as well listen to worship. I'm just saying. Because first of all, it sets the atmosphere for where you're at. Not only that, but God is ministering to you while you're in that place of worship. Now, when you're thinking about all the things that's going wrong in your life, when you're thinking about all the things that happen wrong in your life, when you're thinking about what you want to do and how you're going to get there, what plans are going to make, what's the thought, all of that stuff you do to yourself, your body is like taking it on and your mind is like hemorrhaging, okay? You need to stop being in that place. You need to start giving it to God, allowing God to give you the peace in that situation. How can you really discover a purpose and a plan for yourself? It doesn't work that way. When I tell you God has ministered to me more in my worship than when I'm sitting down and getting a sermon. That's deep, but it's the truth. Worship sets an atmosphere for God to enter in to your space, your personal individual space, to deal with you personally and individually. It's an amazing thing. Don't knock it till you try it. I'm telling you. There's songs that are like literally curated to bring down the presence of God. Okay? You be sitting there, you trembling, you trying to understand, why am I trembling? Why do I feel like this? Because God is entering your space. Okay? And the crazy part is, it's not even him in his full presence. It's probably like a piece of his garment. Whew. Entering your space, and now all of a sudden you have clarity. You're able to envision your next step. You know what's going to happen. You know how to get there. It literally dawns on you like this. Let me tell you something. This week, after I spoke with my best friend and my sister, I've been on fire, okay? Because I've been praying, I've been reading my word, I've been having real conversations with God and in worship. And since then, I've been, like, things been dropping into my spirit. And this is just me dabbling within the first few days of me doing this. Just dropping into my spirit like, bow, 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 okay? And I'm like, yo, that's fire. Let me go ahead and write that down. Let me do this. Because that's how God works in your life. The power of God comes in the peace of your prayer life. It comes in the peace of your understanding. It comes in the peace of your worship. It comes in the peace of the relationship that you have with God. It comes in there. That's where the power comes from. All right, let's go move on. E, eternal vision. Eternal vision. Keeping your focus on God's promises, not temporary struggles. And that's something that we really all do struggle with. Because I know at times for me personally, I'm not going to talk to nobody else. Because y'all know, like I said, this is my journey just as much as it is yours. But I like to share my journey because I feel like a lot of people have things in common with me, right? So, keeping your focus on God's promises and not temporary struggles has a lot to do with the fact that people know what God said about them, but it doesn't necessarily feel like that's where they're at right now. People know what God promised them for their life, whether it be a husband, kids, the business, finances, physical location, whatever. Maybe you might be sick. Maybe you might, have pain in your body. And God promised you healing, right? You know these things. But because it doesn't look like that right now, you have a hard time believing on what God has for you. You have a hard time focusing on the promises of God. Let me tell you something I used to tell my patients when I was a pharmacy technician, especially my cancer patients. I've seen a lot of cancer patients come back and tell me that they're cancer free. And not because I laid hands on them. Let me tell you that right now. Not because I laid hands with them or prayed with them. Even though I have prayed for one. I did. I did that. CVS, I'm sorry. But, you know, it had a lot to do with their focus. It had a lot to do with what they allowed themselves to dwell on. You could sit at home and think about how sad you are. You could sit at home and think about how you single. You could sit at home and think about how you want to be a mom so bad, but everybody's a mom and you're not a mom and da 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 da. Or you not a daddy, you wanted to be a daddy and you da da da. You want to have a wife and you don't have a wife and da 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 da. You could sit at home and be like, you know, I don't have the finances to be a husband today. I want to be a husband already. You could sit up there and be worried about the fact that, you know, I wanted to start this company, but I don't even know where to start. And, you know, everybody's starting their companies and everybody's doing better than me. And look at how everybody, you could do that. You can do that. I'm not telling you can't. Go ahead and do it. But let me tell you something that's going to keep you stuck. I heard an old Chinese proverb today that said, it's okay to be slow, but it's not okay to be still. I don't remember who it was by. And I feel like I paraphrased that. But that proverb, it hit me hard because it's the truth. People be so focused on getting there fast. But how about the fact that you're moving at all? You're going to get there eventually. If you stuck and you staying still, you're not moving at all, which is what your fear does to you, which is what your constant focus on the negatives do to you. That's going to keep you stuck, baby. That's going to keep you a single man. That's going to keep you a single woman. A childless person. That's what that's going to keep you. A businessless person. Like an unhealed individual. That's where it's going to keep you. You want to focus on all the negatives? Go ahead and do that. But that's where it's going to keep you stuck. Stuck. You have to focus on the promises of God. If God said it, believe it. How about you, even though you're in pain, you walk around and tell people, I'm not going to be in pain for long. I know my knee hurt, my back hurt. I know I'm sick, but I ain't going to be sick for long. God promised me healing. Tell people your story and make them happy about you being happy about where you're at and where you're going to be. That's how you change the narrative. Change your focus. Change what you believe. Change what you know to be true. That's how you do that. All right. Moving on. R. Renewal. Allowing God to refresh your spirit and give you peace. Allowing God to refresh your spirit and give you peace. I feel like I said all I had to say right in that line. I don't think I got to really explain that. Because if you were focused on getting to your healing process properly, right? Channeling your strength through God, because the Bible says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Okay. Getting to a place where you understand the purpose that God had for your life, because your purpose is in your pain. What did you suffer from? What did you suffer from? Where did it hurt? That is your resolve. That is your purpose. Okay. Moving on. Now that you understand the reasons why you went through what you went through had to be directly tied into your purpose. Now you can sit back and relax in the peace that God is giving you over that situation. Okay? I'm in a place where I'm seriously okay. I have resolved my issues. I have resolved my emotions. Do I discuss it? Yes. Does sometimes it take over my mind and make me feel like, yo, you lost mad time? Sometimes, yes. But what I also realized is that the time that I lost, I actually did not lose anything because I still have my family. I still have people who love me that I call my friends. Okay? God still loves me. Actually, the relationship that I have with God now probably wouldn't be at the severity and the level of which I have it if I didn't go through what I went through. Not only that, I feel like I could really take on just about anything because of what I did deal with and how I made it out on the other end. Now, do I want to go through anything else? No. Let's be real. I don't. Let me vacate the premises on that one. I don't want to do that. However, what I will say is, because of what I went through, I am in a better place. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, maybe not as much financially, but because I am in God, my financial needs are being met. Okay? Even without a job since February, my financial needs are still being met. Not in the timely manner that I wish they were, but I'm not going without. I'm not going without. Put it this way. My bills on a regular in a month is about $1,500. And it has recently went up to about $1,800. This is my current lifestyle. This is what I'm currently owing in the real world. And I'm not working. You can't tell me that there's not a peace and power that comes from the peace. From when you focus on what God has for you. And when you focus on the purpose that God has placed in your life and align yourself with Him. You can't tell me. I'm living proof. I'm living proof of it. So anyway, that's today's episode of 31 and Thriving. And I want to just have a quick discussion with y'all about our new upcoming ventures, right? So I know that 31 and Thriving went through a few phases because I myself personally have went through a few phases. But I've stayed consistent with our platform, right? So bear with me, okay? So originally we were Surviving with Sisters. Then we were Thriving with Sisters. Then we were 31 Woman, from Proverbs 31. That's the idea, from 31 and Thriving. And then, yes, we became 31 and Thriving. So with that being said, we are not in a place where the questions come up all the time, y'all, about what is 31 and Thriving? Who's 31 years old? Are you 31? I was 31. But that had nothing to do with my age. And the whole idea behind why 31 and Thriving? Can I be 35 and Thriving? Is it limited to an age range? You know what I mean? Like, these things that people say, yes, it's funny, but like at the same time, it causes confusion. And I'm realizing that even to people who are joining the platform, they're like, what is 31 about? So, because of this, I've sat with it, I've talked to my nucleus, and I've come up with a decision that I'm going to rebrand 31 and Thriving as The Thriving House. Hopefully I can, right there, The Thriving House. I'm so excited, y'all. Okay, so here's our mission statement, and I just want y'all to listen to it really quick. The Thriving House is a faith-driven community built on purpose, peace, and power. We guide survivors into a life of healing and growth, equipping them to thrive spiritually, emotionally, and financially. Our mission, should we choose to accept it? I'm joking. Our mission is to create a safe space where people are reminded that they are chosen, capable, and destined to live in victory. So that is the Thriving House, y'all. So we're going to change. We're going to revamp everything. And y'all going to see, I'm going to put in the end of this video what the Thriving House logo will look like. And we're going to start maximizing our platform. Okay. The idea that I have for the Thriving House is to be in locations from north, south, east, and west. Okay? I want us to be able to travel and speak with many individuals about their traumas and how to get to a place of thriving through healing and through the relationship with God. With that being said, I do want to continually have my platform where I can have virtual guests, where I can have physical guests come on and talk about their thriving, how they took their pain, converted it into purpose, found their peace, and then begin to have their power in which they are now thriving. I want you to be a part of this. Don't fall back. Don't lose interest. Don't feel like she can't be consistent. I am consistent. And I want you to ride with me, okay? Ride with me through this journey. This is now the Thriving House. I love you guys. It is your little big sis. To ensure you don't miss an episode of 31 and Thriving, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to share. It's your little big sis, CJ Renee.